Please like the video and share it so that it reaches many more people and you get sawaba, or rewards from Allah. This could be a sawabe jariyah or continuous reward for you long after you are gone.
Volume 8, Book 78, number 656. Narrated by Aisha regarding, Allah will not call you to account for that which is unintentional in your oaths. 2.225. This verse was revealed concerning such oath formulas as, no, by Allah, and, yes, by Allah. Something against his oath due to forgetfulness should he make expiation. And the statement of Allah, and there is no blame on you if you make a mistake therein. 33.5. And Allah said, Moses said to Qadir, call me not to account for what I forgot. 18.73. Volume 8, Book 78, number 657. Narrated by Abu Hurairah, the Prophet said, Allah forgives my followers those evil deeds their souls may whisper or suggest to them as long as they do not act on it, or speak. Volume 8, Book 78, number 658. Narrated by Abdullah bin Amr bin al, as while the Prophet was delivering a sermon on the day of Nahr, i.e., 10th Dhul Hijjah day of slaughtering the sacrifice, a man got up saying, I thought, O Allah's apostle, such and such a thing was to be done before such and such a thing. Another man got up, saying, O Allah's apostle, as regards these three acts of Hajj, thought so and so. The Prophet said, do, and there is no harm, concerning all those matters on that day. And sir, on that day, whatever question he was asked, he said, do it, and there is no harm therein. Volume 8, Book 78, number 659. Narrated by Ibn Abbas, a man said to the Prophet, while he was delivering a sermon on the day of Nahr, I have performed the tawaf round the Kaaba before the Rami, throwing pebbles, at the Jamra. The Prophet said, there is no harm therein. Another man said, I had my head shaved before slaughtering the sacrifice. The Prophet said, there is no harm. A third said, I have slaughtered the sacrifice before the Rami, throwing pebbles at the Jamra. The Prophet said, there is no harm. Volume 8, Book 78, number 660. Narrated by Abu Hurairah, a man entered the mosque and started praying while Allah's apostle was sitting somewhere in the mosque. Then, after finishing the prayer, the man came to the Prophet and greeted him. The Prophet said to him, go back and pray, for you have not prayed. The man went back, and having prayed, he came and greeted the Prophet. The Prophet, after returning his greetings, said, go back and pray, for you did not pray. On the third time the man said, O Allah's apostle, teach me how to pray. The Prophet said, when you get up for the prayer, perform the ablution properly and then face the Qibla and say Takbir, Allahu Akbar, and then recite of what you know of the Quran, and then bow, and remain in this state till you feel at rest in bowing, and then raise your head and stand straight, and then prostrate till you feel at rest in prostration, and then sit up till you feel at rest while sitting, and then prostrate again till you feel at rest in prostration, and then get up and stand straight, and do all this in all your prayers. Volume 8, Book 78, number 661. Narrated by Aisha, when the pagans were defeated during the first stage of the Battle of Uhud, Satan shouted, O Allah's slaves! Beware of what is behind you. So the front files of the Muslims attacked their own back files. Hudhaifa bin al-Yaman looked, and on seeing his father he shouted, My father! My father! By Allah! The people did not stop till they killed his father. Hudhaifa then said, "May Allah forgive you." Urwa, the sub-narrator, added, Hudhaifa continued asking Allah forgiveness for the killers of his father till he met Allah, till he died. Volume 8, Book 78, number 662. Narrated by Abu Hurairah, the Prophet said, "If somebody eats something forgetfully while he is fasting, then he should complete his fast, for Allah has made him eat and drink." Volume 8, Book 78, number 663. Narrated by Abdullah bin Buhaina. Once Allah's apostle led us in prayer, and after finishing the first 2 rakat, got up, instead of sitting for at-tahiyyat, and then carried on with the prayer. When he had finished his prayer, the people were waiting for him to say taslim, but before saying tasim, he said takbir and prostrated. Then he raised his head, and saying takbir, he prostrated, sahu, and then raised his head and finished his prayer with taslim. Volume 8, Book 78, number 664. Narrated by Ibn Mas'ud that Allah's Prophet led them in the Zuhr prayer and he offered either more or less rakat, and it was said to him, "O Allah's Apostle, has the prayer been reduced, or have you forgotten?" He asked, "What is that?" They said, "You have prayed so many rakt." So he performed with them 2 more prostrations and said, "These 2 prostrations are to be performed by the person who does not know whether he has prayed more or less rakat, in which case he should seek to follow what is right, and then complete the rest of the prayer, and perform 2 extra prostrations." Volume 8, Book 78, number 665. Narrated by Ubay bin Ka'b that he heard Allah's Apostle saying, "Moses said, call me not to account for what I forget and be not hard upon me for my affair with you." 18.73. The first excuse of Moses was his forgetfulness. Narrated Al-Bara bin Azib that once he had a guest, so he told his family, on the day of Eid al-Adha, that they should slaughter the animal for sacrifice before he returned from the Eid prayer in order that their guest could take his meal. So his family slaughtered the animal before the prayer. Then they mentioned that event to the Prophet, who ordered Al-Bara to slaughter another sacrifice. Al-Bara said to the Prophet, "I have a young milch she-goat which is better than 2 sheep for slaughtering." The sub-narrator, Ibn used to say, "I don't know whether the permission to slaughter a she-goat as a sacrifice was especially given to Al-Bara, or if it was in general for all the Muslims." See Hadith number 99, Volume 2. Volume 8, Book 78, number 666. Narrated by Jundub, I witnessed the Prophet offering the Eid prayer, and after finishing it, he delivered a sermon and said, "Whoever has slaughtered his sacrifice before the prayer should make up for it, i.e. slaughter another animal, and whoever has not slaughtered his sacrifice yet should slaughter it by mentioning Allah's name over it." Volume 8, Book 78, number 667. Narrated by Abdullah bin Amr, the Prophet said, "The biggest sins are to join others in worship with Allah, to be undutiful to one's parents, to kill somebody unlawfully, and to take an oath al-ghamus."